had the weirdest experience at a store, but also I've noticed a pattern. So I thought maybe we could like chitty chat about it and you could talk me through it. So I went to return something at a store and the math wasn't mathing. And I was like, okay, it was the difference of like, I should have gotten back $12, but they gave me back eight and the math wasn't mathing. And I very calmly, she's a kid. I'm not going to be rude to her. She's just doing what the register told her to do. And I said, "I'm sorry. This doesn't seem to." And I was like, "If I add these up, and this is just me visually like 2 plus 2 plus 2, like if I add these up, it's coming up to 12 something." And she's like, "Mhm." And I was like, "So I guess I'm only getting 8 back." So I'm and she's like, "Mhm." And I was like, "So I if it adds up to 12, it should be 1257 or whatever it was." And I was like, not 803. And she was like, "Yeah, that's what the register said." And I was like, "Okay, maybe the register is just not uh calibrating right or whatever. Like maybe we need to call for backup or whatever." She was like, "Oh, okay." And she calls over this person, we'll call them Mel. "Mel, come on over." And Mel's like, "Hi, how can I help?" And I was like, "Okay." And then she's like, I explained it to her, and she's like, "Oh, I see what's happening. Yeah. So you return these 4 items, but when you add them up, it comes to 8." And I was like, it doesn't though. It comes to 12 something. And I was like, I don't like it's a return, so there shouldn't be a tax charge. So I guess I'm lost. And then she's like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when you return these items, it came to 12. And I was like, it did. And she was like, okay, because it's the register's telling us 8. And I was like, yeah, no, I know. That's why I called you. That's why I called you over. Like, yeah, no, I know. And she's like, okay, so 8. And I was like, no. And then she just said it all over again, louder, like I maybe was hard of hearing. She's like, so what happened was, and I was like, I don't know why we're shouting. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't know how else to word this because we're clearly not speaking the same lingo here. And she's like, do you need to speak to a manager? And I was like, yes. Like, I don't want to be like, I need to speak to a manager. I was like, I guess if you're not getting it, Mel, let's work with somebody who does. So she calls the manager over and he's like perturbed. He's like, ugh, okay. And then she's like, ma'am, if you're having this much of a complication, you should step out of the line so that we can. I was like, okay, I'm the only person in the store, but okay. So we step out of the line and the manager comes over and he's like, why aren't there calculators up here? He's like, I don't understand. And so then he starts doing whatever it is he's going to do, which is fine. That's fine. And then he chimes in with, she is so smug. Mel is so smug. And he's like, I wish they kept calculators at the registers because the register does this all the time. And then I was like, ooh, all the time? Why are you not getting that fixed? And he said, I don't know if it's a business model or what. And he's like, it happens all the time. And he does the math and he's like, yeah, it should be 12, whatever. And he was like, go ahead and get her a change. And then all of a sudden our smugginess was like, and walks away. Okay, calm down, Mel. Like it wasn't your money. I didn't steal it out of your wallet. Calm down, Mel. And so she's like, I talked to him for like a brief moment and I was like, I guess maybe the QR codes are scanning incorrectly or something. And he was like, no. He's like, they don't scan QR codes here. They type in the code. And I was like, oh, maybe she just typed it wrong. And he goes, no. He goes, look, I don't like working here, but I need a job. And he was like, but honestly, this happens all the time. And you should check your receipt and you should be on top of it. And you should be asking questions. And you should do exactly what you just did. He's like, I can't imagine how many people walk out of here because they just aren't checking the math. Or God forbid they felt uncomfortable and didn't want to say anything. And he was like, I mean, they're doing a good job deterring people from wanting to ask questions. Look at how you were just treated. You're the manager, bro. But I was like, yeah, no, you're right. And he was like, so no, you did the right thing. Here's your change. I'm so sorry. He was like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have to be here. So